Now, it's the time of year, of course, when everyone's making New Year's resolutions, promises to themselves about how they'll make their own lives better in 2019.
But is this relentless pursuit of personal perfection harming us psychologically? Or should we be learning to love ourselves a little bit more? Here to shed light on the topic is family therapist Richard Hogan. Good morning to you, Richard.
Good morning, Richard.
Good morning. Happy New Year.
Richard,
You too.
should we have goals? Because we go into the new year and everywhere we look is talk around New Year's resolutions, promises, intentions. Should we all have them?
Well, I think goals are desirable, but I think it's what those goals mean for us.
Yeah.
Is what's underneath those goals is the important thing. If the pursuit of that goal, and if we don't achieve it, is going to destroy our psyche, well, then I'd say it's a very dangerous thing to get involved in. So it's understanding why you're trying to what you're trying to achieve is the key.
Realistic goals, then, is the key, is it?
Yeah, realistic goals. Understanding why you're actually setting off on the goal in the first place. You know, something we often hear, and you'd hear talking about a dry January.
Yeah.
You know, you'd hear people talking about that, and you'd say, well, what are you trying to achieve, you know, over the course of January? Not to drink for January. Well, why?
Yeah.
You know, and at the end of it, then, if you do say you go to a wedding, you have a drink, and then you come back and you say, well, another goal I didn't succeed in achieving.
But you can have that goal for various reasons. It could be a health thing, it could be saving for a holiday in the summer.
Yeah.
It could be for whatever reason.
Exactly.
So if the reason is right, if the reason suits you.
If the reason is right and it's something that's achievable and something that, you know, you understand there will be obstacles in the way to this goal. Well, how do I overcome those obstacles? And let's just say you fail. How do I feel about myself then if I fail?
And do they become just another tool to beat yourself up over?
And that's the thing, I would see an awful lot, say, working in the school system and then working in universities and then in my own clinic, I'd see a lot of, say, young adults coming into me with these goals and these ideas about perfectionism and this idea if they do very badly in an exam and they're coming in and they're absolutely beating themselves up about it. And they haven't achieved what their desired outcome goal would be. And you'd see them sitting there in the sheer, you know, collapse of their psyche because they feel, yes, now people know I'm not as intelligent as I thought I was. So these kind of goals and these kind of ideas of perfectionism destroy them. But it's very dangerous for the psyche.
Is it an opportunity then for you in your position then to because it's all about how you deal with failure.
Exactly.
And how you develop that skill as opposed to achieving the goal.
Exactly, Simon. And that's kind of the rub of it all. And it's understanding that failure is a part of our lives.
Yeah.
And it's a very important part of our lives if we're to be successful. You know, it's like that thing at Dyson, you know, he made 155 attempts to get to the Hoover, and he said, like, to anyone else on the third or fourth attempt, you would have just stopped. But he said that was 150, you know, efforts to get to the right one. You know, and it's about how you view failure is a really important part of succeeding in life.
Because if you talk to any successful, like I remember interviewing Peter Jones from the Dragon's Den, and you know, he was talking about how many times he claimed bankruptcy.
Yeah, exactly.
And set up all these businesses that didn't work at all, but we never hear about those.
And you know what it is, Anna?
And like you in your business as well, and we hear of actors, you know, who say, I'm doing 12 castings a week. You don't get any of them.
But
we never hear about that.
The key with Dyson and with Peter Jones is they still haven't stopped.
No.
When he discovered it, he kept going.
Yeah.
He's changing it. And Peter Jones is still investing in failing in business.
And if you view your life as a series of deficits, we're all going to have things that we didn't achieve. Let's say you're going to apply for, you know, a scholarship, you're going to go for a job and whatever, you know, and we're all going to, over the course of our lives, not get things. But if you view your life as a series of deficits, then when a deficit pops up, it's just going to reaffirm it for you. Yeah, well, this is the way my life is. I never get anything. And these guys you're talking about don't never view those lives in deficits. They don't see the failures. They see them as opportunities.
But for us, should we, when we talk about setting goals, without hanging it on the whole New Year thing, like, I'm a Virgo. I'm lists, checklists. I love doing that kind of stuff. Yeah. So should we be more realistic in terms of, say, setting ourselves goals for the next 2 weeks or this week?
Yeah, well, when I'm setting goals, I always think of, first of all, I always think, like, what is it I'm trying to achieve? You know, and then I think of, is it achievable? What's going to get in the way of that goal? When I meet that obstacle, what will I do to overcome it? And then ultimately, I always think this, how will I feel at the end if I do succeed in this goal, or if I fail in this goal, how am I going to feel? Is it going to collapse? Is it going to make me, you know, we all hold these deeply entrenched beliefs about ourselves that are handed down to us. I mean, they're layers and layers, very complicated. Layers and layers over the course of our, like, in the structure of our character. In our formative years, we're given these labels and these ideas, you know, you're lazy, you're this, you're that. And when we come across, you know, a negative thing, it reaffirms it for us. It's like, yeah, that's right, I can't achieve this. Who am I to think I can achieve this? You know, so it's about understanding when you do meet a challenge, how do you feel about it? And it's important that you're not going around, and one thing, Anna, one thing that I see a lot is people come in with this really negative view of themselves. And when I asked them to talk to me, can I hear that voice inside? You know, we all have that internal monologue, and I asked to hear it. If I said, Dana, can I hear how you talk to yourself? You'd be shocked at the abuse that we say to ourselves.
We give to ourselves.
Yeah. And you'd never say it. And when they hear themselves in the therapeutic setting saying it.
And would your clients say that out loud?
Absolutely.
They would give you that kind of internal spiel.
They give you the internal voice in there. And when they hear it themselves, they're like, oh my God, I'd never say that to a stranger. I wouldn't, you know, that's abusive. And that's the voice we labour with, saying you can't do something. You're never going to achieve that. And it's understanding that that voice was placed in us. And honestly, I think being happy in the new year and, you know, being successful in a goal is developing an awareness about that voice and not allowing and choosing what to pick on.
Because that voice can be a hugely powerful tool as well.
Absolutely, yeah.
That's the voice that will ultimately drive you.
Yeah, to drive you on, exactly.
You know,
if you learn to
use it properly.
If you learn to use it properly.
To set the settings right.
Yeah, and if you choose what to hear what that voice says, you know, that's what's really successful. You hear the positives of that voice, not the negatives all the time.
And if you look at all those positive case studies and the super success stories,
absolutely.
they have all failed, but when they do fail, I suppose, they look at the failure and how it happened and maybe tweak it and learn from it.
And they learn from it. And that's the key. We don't generally go around talking about our failures. We're very good at talking about, you know, things, I got this role, I got this job, I'm making this money. But we don't really talk about our failures. And it's very important that we do talk about our failures, you know, and especially to your kids when you don't succeed at something. You tell them, like, you know, I didn't get that. I went for that job, I didn't get it. But this is how you overcome that.
Yes, of course.
Well, it's also an endless pursuit, isn't it, really?
It is, yeah.
I mean, if you look at the likes of Peter Jones or your man Dyson, they achieve what they want to achieve.
Yeah, exactly.
And now there's new goals.
Yeah.
Now I've invented it, now I'm going to change it, make it better.
Exactly.
And then I'll make it better again.
Exactly, improving it, yeah.
But is that down to just the type of person that they are? Or are we all like that? We just haven't got that gauge set?
I think we're all, if we tune into it, we can all be like that. Yeah. There's no huge difference between you, me, and those, you know, someone like Branson or whatever. It's just that they have that drive, that they've tuned into it, they've understand that voice inside themselves, and they know how to pick the right advice that they hear inside themselves to drive them forward.
Yeah.
And they remove the negative stuff.
We do have a lot of pressure in terms of social media and the likes of Instagram, where everything looks so perfect, doesn't it? You know, everyone's putting their best foot forward, which is fine. But they're not, as you say, talking about the failures, or I went for that job and I lost it, or I didn't get it.
And like that, social media, we're all slaves to propaganda as well. I mean, like, you know, ads about how we should look, and you look down and you're going, Jesus, that's not how I look. And these are all images out there of perfectionism.
Yeah.
And there is no perfect. And if we are caught in this idea of this trying to attain perfection, we're going to be bitterly disappointed, and it will stymie our creativity because we'll be terrified of making a mistake. And people like Dyson and all that, they're not chasing perfection. You know, they're chasing something different.
Yeah, they're much more accepting as well.
So they understand that they will fail at times.
So as we sit here in the second week in January, whatever, I don't even know what date it is. What
date is it?
It's January, definitely. It's the 5th of January, thank you. What do we do for the rest of the year? Like, in terms of goals and setting ourselves goals, do we look at... Because everyone's goals will be different. It could be goals in personal life, goals in business, goals with your physicality. You just need to reassess yourself.
Yeah, the thing I say this every year. You know, I write in the Examiner every year, and I kind of just drive the same message every year. If I was making one resolution this year, the one would be to be kinder to yourself. And when you change how you think about yourself, when you then launch out on an outcome goal like a resolution, you'll be able to achieve it because you'll start changing how you see yourself.
Also, you're supporting yourself as opposed to giving out to yourself.
And for some reason, I think we're very bad at that in Ireland. Talking to ourselves nicely and saying, well done.
And I think women are bad at it as well, because I read something recently that said men look at a job spec and see all the things they can do, and women look at the same job spec and see the things they can't do.
And that's a very true thing, and it's very important, and that's the difference between successful and, you know, setting yourself up for failure. If you see deficits all the time, you're going to really feel you can't do something.
I could talk about this stuff all day.
Oh, Janie Mac, it's a big
I haven't even mentioned the shoes yet.
I know, they're very shiny.
Richard, thanks for coming.
Thanks very much.
Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year, thank you.